Thank you for taking the time to join us at tonight's council meeting. For the record, it's March 7th, 2024, and the time is 6:30 p.m. Council, I'll call the roll call. I'll call your name, and please say here or present. Mayor Maxton.
Here.
Councilmember Stroop.
Here.
Roden.
Here.
Olvera.
Here.
Kerner.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
And Menchow.
Present.
With 7 members of council present, a quorum is declared.
Thank you, Christina. Would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you. And I'd like to start off by welcoming everybody to tonight's council meeting. We are live broadcasting the meeting tonight and would like to welcome all those that are joining us by live broadcast. If for those that are here tonight, if you do get the opportunity to speak as part of the meeting, I ask that you use the mic that's up here at the podium. It's the only way that those that are on the live broadcast can hear the comments. If you speak from your chair, they won't be able to hear what you're saying. If you do get an opportunity to speak from the podium, I ask that you introduce yourself. If you're a resident or a non-resident, or if you're with a company that's here to speak, just what company that you are from. And with that, we didn't have anybody sign up for citizens to be heard to speak tonight. Is there anybody that did not get an opportunity to sign up that would like to speak? Nope. All right. And with that, we'll move on to our presentation items, and we have 2 presentations tonight. Jennifer, are you going to
Yes, sir, I'm going to try.
do the honors?
Yes. Jennifer Hudson, Human Resources Generalist. I'm going to be doing the 5-year service awards this evening for Corporal Hinojosa and Joanna Merrill. So come on in. Come on down. You can stand on this side so we can make sure you're on TV. You can get closer if you, it's okay. It's fine. You coming down, Joanna? Okay. I'll go ahead and start. Corporal Amanda Hinojosa started at the City of Fair Oaks Ranch on February 4th, 2019 as a patrol officer. Amanda holds an intermediate peace officer certification. She is also a certified mental health officer, field training officer, and the defense tactics instructor, which means she can really kick butt. Hinojosa started the PD's annual Trunk or Treat event that we celebrate each year. That was her brainchild. And she is the driving force behind the PD's birthday parades. So if we go back a few years to COVID, she came up with the brainchild to do birthday party parades for the kids. And that's when I actually got to work with Amanda for the first time, filming the videos for that. On January 15th of this year, Amanda was promoted to the rank of corporal. So congratulations, Hinojosa, on 5 amazing years on the ranch. So you get your pen and pencil set. Yay.
A plaque.
You're welcome. You're good. You can both run. That's fine. Oh, wait, you can't go yet. Joanna says you can't go yet. She has to get your picture.
I mean, I'll do a selfie with you in a minute.
Okay. I'm like, I don't do pictures. Okay. Congratulations. Okay, so next up is Joanna. If you don't know, she's my boss, so I have to behave with this one. So Joanna started with the city on February 25th, 2019. She was hired in the newly created role, which was the Director of HR and Communications. Sorry about this part, Mayor. But Joanna is a proud graduate of the University of Texas, Austin. Along with her bachelor's degree, she also earned her International Public Management Association for Human Resources Senior Certified Professional Certification. And during her 5 years with the city, she successfully navigated city personnel through COVID. That was really interesting. And under council direction, she grew her department to include 2 full-time employees, conducted a comprehensive compensation plan for the city, strengthened and improved our benefits, guided the implementation of Regroup, our emergency management notification system, began live streaming of city council meetings, enhanced our annual State of the City event while increasing employee recognition and wellness programs. Congratulations, boss lady. You are now fully vested on 5 years on the ranch. All right.
And I'd just like to extend our appreciation to both Joanna and Corporal Hinojosa for their service to the city for over 5 years. It's just amazing, and thank you for what y'all do every day. And the next presentation item that we have is the recognition of the State Equipment Rodeo Competition winner. And I believe Julio is you're gonna walk us through this and explain it?
Yeah, so y'all heard at the State of the City that Eloy won first place. So in January, the state actually holds, or the local branch holds a tournament, which is the equipment rodeo. So the guys go out there with backhoes. This competition was a little different. We actually practice here at the guys, and we do our own one here at the city. We do our own little rodeo here, and the winners from that will say, okay, well, let's go and do the local tournament, which is everybody in San Antonio. So we did our tournament here. Eloy Will did really good. And basically what it is, the first setup is 5 cones. There's tennis balls in each one, and you have to go ahead and get the tennis balls inside the bucket without dropping the cone or even dropping the tennis ball. The other one is there's a pin tied to the tooth of the backhoe or the front end loader, and you have to drop the pin inside the center hole of the cone. And you have 2 minutes to get it in there. So the faster you get it, the better. So we went in January to the local branch. Eloy and Will didn't win first place there because of a technicality. But I had basically said, hey, you know what? If you won here at the city, we'll send you to the workshop one because there's a chance for them to go ahead and learn and that, and they can compete and represent the city. So did that, went ahead and sent them out there, and Eloy actually beat everybody there. The competition there, as you can see, there's the tennis balls. So same thing, they had to go ahead and get the tennis balls. There's another one where they had to go ahead and pick up a tire, and they had to stack tires. And so out of, I think, 70 participants there, Eloy won first. Will got 15th. So now he gets to represent City of Fair Oaks Ranch at the national competition in Atlanta.
Oh.
So, you know, that's, to me, it's amazing the fact that he won it, because there's even guys, the guys who set it up were from Baytown originally. They actually knew what the course was gonna be set up like. They'd been training. And when you look at the rankings, I think there was like 6 or 7 of them that were right under Eloy, and Eloy ended up beating him, I think, by like 10 or 15 seconds on all of them. So he did really great. I mean, he's our lead guy when it comes to equipment or anything out here for drainage. So if you see him out there, he'll be the guy on the backhoe or the skid steer and that, and he's usually the one doing all the drainage work out there. So like I said, he did really good. He represented the city really well. Won first place. Will did a great job too, coming in 15th out of 70, and that's not including the other 40 people they had to compete against here. So usually that's what they'll end up doing. There's branches throughout the state of Texas that'll compete, and there's about 40 to 50 applicants local, and then they send their top guys over. So I had originally just said, hey, just beat the Bexar County guys that beat you here, and I'll be happy. And yeah, they took
Beat 'em
first
all.
place. So yeah, it is even better. I got to go back and brag to the branch, say, hey, guess who's got one first? So yeah, Eloy didn't get to come here today, but he got a hard hat that basically says Equipment Rodeo Champion, and he got a belt buckle that has a backhoe on it.
Huh.
So yeah, now the next step is in September, he'll get to go to Atlanta. The state will cover it, and then so we'll actually pay for it, and then they'll reimburse us for it. So, but he'll get to represent us out there in Atlanta now. So, yeah.
Well, please. And Julio, please pass on our congratulations to him for a job well done. With that, then we'll move on to our, our consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda tonight. First is the approval of the February 8th, 2024 special city council meeting minutes. Second is the approval of the February 15th, 2024 regular city council meeting minutes. Third is the approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase order with Holt Cat for an emergency generator for water plant number 4, expenditure for the required funds, and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager. And last is approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase order with Holt Cat for an emergency generator for Fire Station Number 3, the expenditures of the required funds, and the execution of all applicable documents by the city manager. Is there any council member that would like to remove an item from consent to consideration? And with that, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Chesley, in a second. The motion on the table to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Scott, you gave the second on that, didn't you? Yeah. All right, thanks. Then we have two consideration items on the agenda for tonight. And first is the presentation of the certificate of unopposed candidates and consideration and possible action approving a resolution declaring unopposed candidates in the May 4th, 2024 general election elected to office and to cancel said general election. And Christina, are you going to lead us through this?
Yes, sir. Tonight is pretty simple. February 16th came and went, and we did not have any opposition to our mayor position and place one position applicants, excuse me. So that means I can certify the election, those applicants as unopposed. And from this point, and I've got the certification on the screen, from this point, council can decide if they want to cancel the general election. We still will continue with the two special elections, but we can cancel the general election. And there's a resolution that discusses that in the agenda packet.
Okay. Any questions for Christina? Anybody else here tonight? Any questions reference this item? Then could I get a motion to accept the certificate of unopposed candidates and to approve a resolution declaring the unopposed candidates in the May 4, 2024 general election elected to office and to cancel said general election?
So moved.
From Keith, and a second
Second.
from Ruben. And any other discussion from council? Nope. Then with the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved.
Okay,
Thank you. The second consideration that we have up tonight is the consideration and possible action to approve a resolution updating an interlocal cooperation contract for the failure to appear program with the Texas Department of Public Safety. Ricardo, welcome.
Good evening, Council. Ricardo Bautista, I'm the Court Administrator for Fair Oaks Ranch Municipal Court. So there were some changes that occurred to the by the 88th legislative update that affected the FTA program. So the FTA program is a program where we report to DPS for cases that have not been resolved and there's an outstanding balance, and we usually pay them so that they can send out notices and also put restriction on the license if for some reason it's still pending. So they put holds on the license of the people who still have cases pending for our court. So there are just some minor changes to language and legal verbiages, and inclusion of indigency into the program, and future languages for future updates in the DPS program. The only changes that were made were because of the Transportation Code, Chapter 521 and Chapter 706. 521 is the one that really affects the court. It has to do with the driver's license, because before, whenever people wouldn't pay their Omni fee base, it wouldn't allow you to still renew the license. So now it's a requirement that if someone is found indigent, or it's not required for the court to demand them to pay that Omni base fee, so that it can clear their license and renew their license. So now, if you are indigent, it is a requirement to take that off of the fees that you owe and to release the hold on your license. The other one has more to do, the Chapter 7.2 one has more to do with DPS. It doesn't really affect our court, but it is changes that they made, so they have to notify us, and we have to sign it and update our program or our contract with the Texas Department of Public Safety. But that's kind of the basics of why we have to sign it again and resubmit it to DPS because of those changes to the 88th legislative update.
Any questions? Any questions from anyone here tonight for Ricardo? And with that, could I get a motion to approve a resolution updating an interlocal cooperation contract for failure to appear program with the Texas Department of Public Safety?
So moved.
From Emily, and a second
Second.
from Ruben. Any further discussion from council? No? Then with a motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Approved. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ricardo. And then tonight we have 3 workshop items on the agenda. And the first one will be a presentation on the 2024 4th of July celebration. And this one does have a presentation with it. It's on page 51 in the council packet.
Good evening. I'm Clayton Holscher, Procurement Manager with the Finance Department. Tonight's item is really just to get some direction so we can start planning the event for this year. I'll recap some of what we did last year as well as ask for some direction on planning this year's event. We have $35,000 budgeted for this year's program. It's the same amount as that we were budgeted last year. Some of the key items that we want to discuss are the date of the event. Last year we did it on July 4th. This year, just for reference, July 4th is on a Thursday, so we just wanted to check to see, do we want to do it on the 4th or one of the surrounding days? The type of program that we want to have and any other sort of direction that you believe necessary for us. So kind of a real quick recap of last year. Last year was the first time we had this event in several years, so we explored a few different options. That included a drone show, which ended up being one of the more expensive and shorter type of shows. The traditional fireworks that you see, as well as a laser show, which was something that was not quite as widely known as just our standard fireworks, but has a similar duration. And then there was a combination where you could have both lasers and fireworks. They'd be synchronized to music and kind of go off concurrently together. So with council direction, what we ended up doing was the combination show of lasers and fireworks. We budgeted the $35,000, and we had 2 separate contracts, one with the laser provider and one with the fireworks provider. We also rented some equipment for the equipment that the laser company needs, some of the fog machines, as well as so we had some generators for that, as well as a boom lift to hold up a projector for them. We held the event and collaborated with the Fair Oaks Ranch Country Club. The event was held on the driving range, and it was open to all the citizens of Fair Oaks Ranch, and it lasted around 20 minutes. So these are just, it's kind of hard to tell without video, but it's just a real quick picture of what it looked like last year. You can see the laser started off right at the beginning, and then not too long after that, the fireworks went off, and they all kind of just went together, synchronized with music for the duration of that. It lasted around 20 minutes. And so really we just want to have a discussion and get some guidance and direction on how you want this event to be this year. So based on that, we'll get going on solidifying anything that we need to.
I actually received a lot of positive feedback last year, and then people asking this year if we're doing the same thing. So I would just kind of encourage something similar to last year because it was well attended. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I think most of us were there, and I think it was well put on. So that'd be my advice.
Okay.
I agree.
That's good.
Agree.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The laser and fireworks show, I mean, we did get a lot of good compliments out of it. And you mentioned it only lasts 20 minutes, but actually the evening with
Correct.
all the festivities, I mean, it went on for a couple hours that people were out there. And, you know, we estimated the numbers, but I think it was around 4,000 people were out on the driving range watching the fireworks and the laser show. You asked about the date, and so my initial preference is that we do it on the 4th of July. I mean,
I agree.
that's when we celebrate. And the only consideration for me other than that would be to make sure that the club would be on board with that date. I think they are. I don't know that, I know we've had initial discussions, but I know we haven't nailed anything down yet either.
Yeah, we've had those initial discussions with them, and we basically said we'll follow back up with them after we discuss with you all tonight. So I think we've all got the same state of mind going forward then.
Because they'll have 4th of July activities, club-related during the day.
Hilariously enough, that's actually the first Thursday of the month.
We always cancel it on.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We always cancel it that week.
I'd rather see the fireworks show anyway.
I don't want to hang out with y'all any more than I have to.
We can
Unless
have
it's
the meeting
for
at the
fireworks.
fireworks show.
Probably a budget meeting that we could have out on the club grounds. All right, the club, they're in favor of doing it on the 4th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we've already reached out to the vendors from last year as well. In fact, the laser vendor reached out because he really enjoyed doing the show and is interested in doing it again. So it's in the works.
I do have one question. We had a food truck or a couple food trucks, right?
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 food trucks there.
Okay. Are y'all gonna reach out to them too to come back?
The country club handled that.
Okay.
So they did mention having food trucks again, though.
Okay, cool.
I think the club manager even mentioned that they were looking to maybe even double the amount of food trucks this year
That
Yeah.
would be awesome.
because there were such long lines at the ones from
Mm-hmm.
last year.
Yeah, that's correct.
Good question. Any questions from anyone else here tonight about the 4th of July? Okay.
Okay,
Clayton, does that provide you all the?
Yep.
Okay.
definitely. It gives us what we need, so we appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
The next workshop item that we have on the agenda tonight is the landscape and watering management compliance policy. Carol.
Good evening, Council. As the mayor alluded, Carol, Assistant City Manager, Community Services. As the mayor alluded, I'm here to present to you, starting on page 59, the city's landscape watering management compliance policy. The policy defines the process in which watering violations are handled from the initial notifications of the watering violation that was observed to potentially a sworn complaint being filed in municipal court. So I'm going to summarize. I'm just going to summarize. The policy provides three-phase process for the continual non-compliance to our watering schedule. So phase one, if we observe a watering violation, an educational notice and a Fair Oaks Ranch Utilities watering schedule flyer is provided either in person. If they're not at home, it is posted on their property. And there's a variety of ways on the property that we do post it. Document copies of the notice and the watering schedule flyer is on page 62, 64 of your packet. As our main focus is on education of the city's watering rules, this process can occur twice before we move to phase two. So someone can get 2 notices in this phase. And then in phase 2, this would be their third violation, a warning notice, which you have a sample on page 65, and then another watering schedule flyer is provided, again, in person or posted on the property. This phase, we also mail those 2 documents. Even if we made contact in person, we send it in the mail. The notice includes evidence of the violation that was observed. It requests immediate compliance with our rules and notes subsequent violations may incur a sworn complaint being filed in municipal court. This process applies to 1 occurrence only during this phase before we move to the next phase. The next phase is the 4th violation that we have observed on the same property. The code compliance officer, if he has seen it, will file a sworn complaint, including any evidence of all the prior notices, including this phase, with the municipal court. The city prosecutor will review the evidence, all our notices, other documents as they request, and they will decide whether charges will be filed in the court. If it's decided to move forward, the court will then send a summons of arraignment to the violator. A sample complaint is on page 66. What I also wanted to provide you was just a chart comparing 2022 to 2023 of the violation notices that were actually presented. So in this situation, you can see there was an increase in 2023. This is probably due because the state had an extreme drought conditions compared to 2022, and we feel that if it occurs again this year, it is likely we'll have similar numbers as of 2023. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, but that is our watering compliance policy that we follow at the staff level.
What are you looking for from us today?
I am looking for nothing. I was just asked to present to you all our policy, our internal policy. And historically, we have always tried to educate. We have not issued a notice of the last notice to go to court. This could change this year if we see the behavior has not changed. And we just wanted to let you know this is our policy. We have it in writing. And that's basically it, unless we get direction otherwise. We hope to move forward through the 3rd phase.
And the policy that we have only applies to the water utility customers of Fair Oaks Ranch. I think everybody understood that, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no.
And so this policy is already in place. We've had the policy in place.
Correct.
What we have not done in the past is really gotten to the point of where we've issued the
complaint. We haven't filed a complaint with municipal court.
Right.
Our goal has been to try to educate as much as possible.
And I agree with that, and I think it's our first point, is that we want to get everybody on the same board. But we did go through an exceptional drought last year. We've already experienced the lowest level in our monitoring wells in January this year. And without a very wet spring, we could be looking at going right back into an exceptional drought, but at a lower level than we were at last year. And so the point is not to really to go out and find people.
Correct.
The point is really we need people to abide by the drought contingency plan as it laid out, because it is laid out in a specific manner to preserve the water that we do have so that it's used for health and welfare, the primary purpose of what we need from our water resource. That
well said.
okay?
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Anybody else here tonight have any questions for Carol? Yes, sir. And would you mind? I know it's too easy to speak from your chair, but
I'm Jonathan Sorick. I'm a resident, and my question is, What's the reporting process for this? Is it all from Aquahawks, or is it like neighbors telling, calling in, or?
Great question, thank you. No, we do not use AquaHawk to research or look for violators. These are when we drive around and we have physically seen the watering done, and we just track it on the first notice, the address. We've made contact. If we see them watering again the next week on the wrong day, that would be the second one. But we do not use any AquaHawk. Now, if a resident calls and files a complaint with us and says, my neighbor's watering, yes, that is a valid complaint. We will drive by to check it out. But the city staff has to see it.
Good question. Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Carol. And the last item that we had for workshops tonight is the roadway general obligation bond. This one also has a presentation associated with it, and it's on page 69 of the council packet. Hand it over to you, Grant.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Grant Watanabe, the Director of Public Works for the city. And as part of this presentation, I'll be providing some updates on the 4 road bond projects, answering some of the questions that came up at our last road bond workshop, and also providing some proposed typical sections that we could possibly use for future public outreach efforts. There we go. I have a short agenda tonight. As part of the bond project typical sections, I'll also cover what the existing footprint of each project is, what the proposed footprint, and what the cost is, or rather what the range of costs is, since some of these projects do include potential options. I'll cover a bond project summary and then wrap up with some questions at the end. All right, so starting with Dietz Elkhorn East reconstruction, what I show here is a proposed typical section. Again, the existing length is about 1.2 miles. It runs from Fair Oaks Parkway to FM 3351. The existing width is 28 to 29 feet, which includes 2 11-foot lanes. There's also a 5-foot shoulder on the north side and a smaller shoulder, about 1 or 2 feet on the south side. So as part of this project, the proposal is to expand it slightly to a width of 32 feet, and that's primarily, we'll still keep the 2 11-foot lanes and the 5-foot shoulder on the north side. We're just expanding a little bit on the south side to make that a 5-foot shoulder as well. The estimated cost, and again, this is a revision from what I showed at the last workshop because we just got some revised opinions of probable construction costs from a consultant, and actually revised downward, which is a good thing. So for what you see here, the estimated cost is now $2.8 million. Now, there are other options that our consultant was asked to look for. I'll cover some of those options just at a high level when we get to the summary page slide at the end. But this is the cost just for adding that slight addition to the paved shoulder. All right, moving on. This is Battle Intense. We're proposing to just replace in kind. The length again is 528 feet, which runs from Cibolo Valley to Cibolo View. The existing width is 30 feet, and we're planning to reconstruct in the same footprint and maintain 30 feet. Again, it's 1 lane in each direction, and we're going to maintain that. We did revise the estimated construction costs like we did with the other project. This one revised upwards. One of the things that we've learned is that although some construction costs, for example, wood and steel have gone down since last year, the cost for asphalt has continued to go up. So we've adjusted our cost estimate to reflect that. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question. Is this the portion of the road where the raised crosswalk is?
I believe.
I think it's north of it, isn't it?
I think the raised crosswalk is within this section.
Because I think we might want some discussion regarding that if possible. Specifically, Councilwoman Kerner.
Sure, we can, once we get to that point, we can definitely discuss that.
Might be worth revisiting that. Not replacing it.
Here.
All right. Our next bond project is Rolling Acres Trail, specifically between Flagstone Hill and Ammon Road. It's 1.2 miles as well. The existing width is 22 feet. This includes two 11-foot lanes with no paved shoulders. And again, the proposal here is to simply replace it in kind with maintaining the two 11-foot lanes, again, with no shoulders. We did some revised estimates. The cost just to replace in kind is $2 million. If you remember, there's also two low water crossings on this section of Rolling Acres Trail. We had a review of alternatives for the one that crosses Post Oak Creek, and at that location, we decided to install a halt system. There's also a second low water crossing somewhere between Post Oak Trail and Meadow Creek Trail. We have not made a decision on what to do with that, but as part of, once we get into the design process, we'll present you with several options. They'll probably vary from construction of a bridge to addition of several culverts, or again, the potential for just a halt system. So we'll look at those different alternatives as part of the design of this project. But I just wanted to provide a range for what that might be. So reconstructing this portion of Rolling Acres Trail without shoulders and without any low water crossing improvements could be as low as $2 million. But if we do want to include some type of low water crossing, perhaps on the higher end of the options, it could be as high as $4.2 million. But there's several options in between.
Grant, when we're talking about the low water crossing, this is at the no-name
Tributary.
Tributary,
That's
okay.
correct. Yes, sir.
And do we have any idea what we would need to do, what we would need to raise it to get any relief? 100-year flood lake, or?
We'd have to do some drainage analysis as part of the low water crossing over Post Oak Creek. We looked at what it would take to convey the 25-year storm, the 5-year storm, the 2-year storm, so, and came up with some options and some estimates for those options.
Okay. Then I had a quick question about, it applies to Rolling Acres and Ammon, which we haven't talked yet. And we have 11-foot lanes on these, and I believe that's what they are right now.
That's what they are right now.
And is that an average width of a road for that size? Safety-wise, are we in good shape?
I would say yes, that's a acceptable width for a road with that amount of traffic on it.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I know we've also talked about potentially adding shoulders, maybe smaller shoulders. That was something that I think, Mayor, you were open to. So we did some calculations for that as well. If there was a desire to add perhaps 2-foot shoulders, not full 4-foot like we talked about as part of the CIP project, but smaller 2-foot shoulders on each end or each side of Rolling Acres Trail, that would add about $400,000 to the project. So.
Does that
Not a lot.
increase the longevity of the street? Because we kind of talked about it last time where you had said, and I experience it daily, so there's, on Rolling Acres, when you go around the curve, there's some places where you're at a 1-foot
drop
drop,
off.
so if you go off in a car, you're kind of in trouble. So, and when people drive on it, it cracks the edge of the street. So I guess, would the 2-foot shoulders increase the longevity of the streets?
It would definitely increase the longevity of
And
the
that would be
street.
something that you would recommend then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
All right, next one here is Ammon Road. This one shows specifically the north curve to Rolling Acres Trail. That length for that section is 1.1 miles. The existing width is 22 feet, similar to Rolling Acres Trail, and the proposal here is to reconstruct and maintain the 22 feet with two 11-foot lanes. It's kind of interesting. This graphic kind of even looks like the north-south section of Ammon Road. If you can imagine driving north, Stone Creek Ranch is on the left, and they kind of have a wrought iron fence, a black wrought iron fence that kind of looks like that. And then you got the utility poles on the right. So we tried our best to match what's out there. The estimated cost for this one is $2.2 million. That's without the paved shoulders and without the low water crossing. There is a low water crossing up towards the northern curve. If we wanted to, again, similar to Rolling Acres Trail, once we get into a little bit of design, we'll look at various options on for the water crossing. And Ammon Road does get more traffic than Rolling Acres Trail does, so we'll look at the various bridge and culvert and halt options. And in this case, we may want to consider something more than just a halt system, so just because of the amount of traffic on this road. But, again, that range of costs could vary from 2.2 million with no low water crossing improvement up to 4.2 million with one of the more expensive, I guess, per se, low water crossing improvement options.
Hey, Grant,
Sir.
if you added the 2-foot shoulders on that, would it be about the same amount of additional cost?
Correct. For each mile of roadway, if you want to add 2-foot shoulders, it's about 400,000. So it's interesting that the north-south leg of Ammon Road is about 1 mile, and the east-west portion of Ammon Road is about 1 mile as well. Yeah. All right. Here's a summary of our 4 bond projects. You'll notice that at the bottom there, I did include the 2 portions of Ammon Road. Starting at the top with East Elkhorn East. So the estimated cost could range from as low as 2.8 million if we decide to only do the paved shoulders on each side, all the way up to 7.2 million, and that reflects the addition of a shared use path or a combined use path. Somewhere in the middle, with the cost for just adding a smaller sidewalk, it comes in at about 6 million. So you can see the range of costs there depending on how we want to go. Staff does plan to present a more detailed workshop covering all of these different options and what's driving the cost for these different options at a future council meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Before, when we talked, the numbers that you gave us included some inflationary something. Do these numbers include inflationary costs or no?
These do.
Okay.
Battle Intense reconstruction, again, that short stretch was 400,000. With Rolling Acres Trail, we talked a little bit about that, the range of costs, and it really depends on what option we pick for the low water crossing. Could be as low as 2 million or up to 4.2 million. For the north-south leg of Ammon Road between the North Curve and Rolling Acres Trail, again, depending on the option we choose for the low water crossing improvement, that could range from 2.2 million to 4.2 million. And then on the east-west section of Ammon Road, that's about 2.2 million. There is no low water crossing on that section of Ammon Road. So in summary, looking at the total at the bottom, when you consider all 4 projects together, we could have something, a bond program in the range of 9.6 million on the low end, or up to 18.7 million. Well, I guess we can't exceed 16 million, but we do have some flexibility in there to consider potential options as part of these projects.
Any questions from council? Grant, as we do these projects, as we're looking, especially Dietz, Elkhorn, Rolling Acres, and Ammon Road, would they include the drainage ditch realignment along the side of the roads as part of the cost of what you've shown?
So if there's a desire to widen the road and we have to realign or move the drainage ditch along the road, then that would be incorporated as part of the project. But if we're only replacing in kind, then we'll likely just maintain those existing ditches.
Like Dietz Elkhorn, I mean, those drainage ditches need to be redone. They've silted up over years.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of Rolling Acres has been cleaned out. And then Ammon Road, I don't know if they are drainage ditches or bar ditches. Right.
But yes, regrading and cleaning it out will be part of the job. Yes.
When you go down Post Oak Trail now and you look at it, they're regrading the
Both
drainage
sides.
along both sides of it. And so now we'll have effective drainage along the road again. With that, does this also include, especially along Dietz Elkhorn, they'll replace all the culverts that
Yes.
have been damaged underneath the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Broadcast.
From previous discussions, I'm really interested in seeing the next set of numbers to include the 2-foot. Because I've seen the damage that the end of, 2 foot on either side of the road, included in those numbers up front, because I think both Chesley and I, on the backside of the city, have seen, we just redid Meadow Creek Trail about 5 years ago, and already the road's collapsing. So I think that's something that we really need to take pretty seriously in our ability to go ahead and keep the roads as long as we can, and have to throw more money at it.
Good point.
Specifically talking about Rolling Acres.
Well, rolling acres, I see all the time as I'm around that section, but I'm on Meadow Creek Trail, and that portion just was kind of indicative to me of what we're going to do. We're going to see happen to all the money we're putting on these projects right
So
now.
if it's only 400,000 more, it seems beneficial to increase the longevity of our streets, I think is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Exactly. Rolling Acres and Ammon Road in particular.
And I agree.
So as we look forward to developing some graphics for the upcoming town hall and potentially some mailers, do you want me to revise these graphics to add those 2-foot shoulders on each side?
I would like to see it personally. I don't know how the rest of council feels, but I think that anything that we can do to go ahead and ensure that we're spending money wisely would be, I'd like to see what those costs are up front instead of having to come back at it again later.
And when people ask the question of why are you widening the road, it's to increase the longevity of the streets, and it's only 2 feet, and no, we don't have eminent domain and all those other things that people are going to throw. But I think it's important as well.
Let's just deal with that up front.
And so that's a good point, is that by increasing the width by 2 feet on each side, we'll be able to do that within the right-of-way that we currently have.
Yes. Okay.
We need to stress that to everybody as we discuss it.
Okay.
And would the 2 feet allow, so would it be like kind of a marked shoulder? Like, I guess it would give more room for pedestrians also, because I know sometimes back on Rolling Acres with pedestrians on both sides walking at the same time as cars, it becomes pretty tight. So I think that would also probably increase safety for pedestrians or whatever.
Yeah, we would want to mark the shoulder for the safety of pedestrians who are trying to use it.
Any other questions? Any questions from anybody here tonight? Scott, did we get all the information that we needed out of the workshop for this one?
Yes, that helps. As Grant alluded to, we'll use this to plan for the upcoming town hall and the informational materials that will be part of the GEO bond campaign. So that was important. This discussion was important for that material. So that helps. Thank you.
Okay. And did we want to add the shoulders to Ammon Road as well? I know we talked about Rolling Acres Trail. Okay, thank you. All right, that's all I have, Mayor.
All right.
2 foot
yes.
shoulders on each side. Okay.
Well, that completes the workshop items that we have tonight. We'll move on now to any announcements. Does anybody in council have any announcements that they'd like to make? Got one?
Well, yes, the Forha, if you remember Forha, they have the Easter egg scramble coming up on March 23rd. So keep your eyes peeled for information about that. I think there's signs already around the city. So
Then we have pictures with, I can't remember
the Easter Bunny.
the Easter Bunny, the weekend, the Saturday before.
It'll be at the scramble on March 23rd. Oh, you talking about the other
the-
Easter Bunny?
With PD.
Yes.
The weekend before it, Ben.
And Rob, okay. Had a name for the Easter Bunny, I can't remember what it, Smokey or?
Oakley.
Oakley.
Well, I had,
That's the band.
I did have we'll move on, sorry. A couple of announcements to make. City of Fair Oaks Ranch will conduct a town hall meeting, and coming up, reference the Ford Road projects that we were just talking about, and this will be in consideration for the general bond. At the town hall meeting, each of the road projects will be discussed. Additionally, we'll discuss the impact of the bond on the property tax rate if it were approved. The town hall meeting will be held on the 9th of April at the Spring Creek United Methodist Church at 6:30 p.m. And the general bond will be on the ballot during the upcoming May election. And the Bond Advisory Committee, which was the one that reviewed the road projects, will soon begin a review of water and wastewater projects coming up. This committee will then go through and provide recommendations to City Council on the need, the scope, the timing, and financing of each of the water and wastewater projects within our capital improvement program. And for those residents who are interested, the meetings are open to the public and all are welcome to attend. And on February 27th, City Council and staff held a town hall meeting. This was, last week before? Referenced the proposed community center and the gateway feature. We did have a great turnout from the meeting, at the town hall meeting. I'd like to thank all the residents that came out and attended. I think we had a neighborhood of 70 people that were there. After the town hall meeting, the surveys that were done at the town hall meeting have now been posted online. And this allows for those residents who were not able to make the meeting that they can now take the survey and also participate as part of the criteria for the gateway feature in the community center. But once we compile all the comments from the surveys, we will post the results for all to see. And I also believe that those results will also be presented during a future council meeting. Is that probably accurate? Okay. Reminder to all residents that we are back in the period where oak wilt can be more easily spread. This is when the fungal spore formation and the beetles are most active for transferring oak wilt between trees. From February 1st to January 30th, the cutting... June 30th. Okay. Correct. From February 1st to June 30th, the cutting, pruning, trimming, and removal of oak trees is not allowed to reduce the spread of oak wilt. And the contractor working on Post Oak Trail is scheduled to asphalt the road next week and is expected to complete the project by the end of March. So that's coming to a close pretty quick. And then a reminder to all that April 8th, which is about a month from now, is the day that we will experience the total eclipse in our area. This is on a Monday, and the eclipse is scheduled to occur at approximately 1:30 p.m. Be sure to get your protective eyeglasses now, because they'll be hard to get probably within the next couple weeks. Got anything I missed?
A couple of items, Mr. Mayor. First, if for those who are trying to watch, we know that we are having some technical difficulties with the live stream tonight, but the meeting is being recorded. So if you have been unable to access online, it will be posted, and we'll be to see it after the fact. So if anyone asks, you can tell them it will be posted, hopefully tomorrow. And I just wanted to, again, congratulate and reiterate the work that our Fair Oaks Branch Police Department did, the recognition recently from the Department of Justice for their work on the Christopher Pettit case. For those who saw the news articles or the release from the DOJ, that was obviously a high-profile case that started really in our own Fair Oaks Ranch Police Department from one concerned resident. Got the ball rolling with our department, in particular Detective Love, who took the lead on that and led to ultimately a very high-profile conviction that started right here. So great work by our team. The council, you'll see some features from our publications going out soon, just highlighting the great work that they did, and hopefully that will be picked up by a couple of other outlets as well. But just wanted to reiterate both the work that we did, and for those in the community, even for things you think may not have a good chance of being caught or investigated. It's definitely possible, and should always contact PD anytime you have a concern. But great job.
Thanks, Scott.
That's it.
And does any council member have any items that they would like included on a future agenda? Okay. We are going to go into executive session tonight. Pursuant to Section 551.101 of the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, a quorum of the governing body hereby convenes into closed session to receive, this will be under 551.071, consultation with attorney, to receive legal advice from special counsel and the city attorney regarding the city's groundwater rights. I anticipate that this will probably take us 30, 40 minutes, and I do not anticipate any council actions afterwards, just as a heads up. I don't anticipate it, doesn't mean it won't happen. And for the executive session, I need all of council, the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the public works director. Is there anybody else that we need? Christina, I have the time now is 7:25, and we are going into executive session. Everyone's good? You hear me okay, Casey? Christine, I have the time now is 8:11, and we are back in open session. There were no actions taken during executive session that required a consideration in open session. With that, Christina, is there anything else that we missed or anything that we need to take care of tonight?
No, sir.
No? And Scott, anything from your position?
No, sir.
And I have the time now is 8:12, and we are adjourned.